Randy, and back to the phone lines, Jamie in Virginia. Hi, Jamie.
How you doing, Hank?
I'm doing well.
I guess, like Chris, trying to figure out the best way to ask this question. If you have a Christian who has had a parent or a close loved one that has passed on before them, they go to their grave and go to heaven believing that their parent or whatever was a Christian. If they were not, if this individual goes to heaven in the expectation of seeing all the loved ones that have passed on before them, do not see that parent. Do you understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to recognize that we're going to have a completely different perspective when we get to heaven, because we're going to see things from God's perspective. And what we will see is that God is ultimately just, and He is the personification of love. And therefore, His judgments are altogether perfect. If someone wanted a relationship with God, God isn't going to try to pick on a technicality to keep them out. He did all so that we could be reconciled to Him for time and for eternity. So there are only two kinds of people in the world, as C.S. Lewis aptly said: those who on bended knees say to God, "Thy will be done," and those to whom God in the end says, "Thy will be done. If you do not want a relationship with me, I will ratify your desire, not only in time, but for eternity." If there was no such thing as hell, there'd be no such thing as choice. In other words, hell is God's great complement to human freedom and the dignity of choice. If there were no such thing as hell, the righteous would be incarcerated in heaven with unrighteous people who are incarcerated there against their will. But that's not what we have in the biblical picture. We have a picture that demonstrates the reality that evil is contagious and must be quarantined. Otherwise, like a deadly plague, it will continue to infect and corrupt. And so in the new heavens and the new earth, there's a separation of evil from good. Nothing impure, says the biblical text, will ever enter it, nor will anyone who does what is shameful or deceitful, but only those whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life. The bottom line is this: all who desire a relationship with Jesus Christ can have that relationship. We have the light of creation. We have the knowledge of God written on the tablet of our heart, and if we respond to that, we can, as Paul puts it in Romans chapter 3, have the light of Christ as well. So again, the short answer to your question is that in heaven we will see things from God's perspective, and we will be joyous in that He has done all things perfectly.
Okay, I understand. I guess it was a matter of, like I was saying, if you had somebody that was really, really close to this parent or this family member, even though that family member wasn't saved, this person was a God-fearing Christian and went on to heaven. Basically, I understand what you're saying is that when we get there, our whole perspective will be through God's eyes, and we'll have a total understanding if that person isn't there. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And I'm just looking in my book, Afterlife, because I did an entry in Afterlife titled, "How Can We Enjoy Heaven Knowing Unsaved Loved Ones Are in Hell?" And what I point out is that, first, it's appropriate to acknowledge that there's no biblical warrant for believing that our memories are going to be erased in eternity. Therefore, we cannot rightly fall back on the unbiblical speculation that all memory of life on earth, including loving relationships with the unsaved, will be forgotten in the new heavens and the new earth. And then I unpack that. My second point is that it is crucial to recognize that the memories of our sinful and painful past and our awareness of the perfect justice of God respecting our loved ones will only serve to enhance our capacity for eternal enjoyment. And again, I elaborate. And finally, I point out that the joy we experience in heaven is not a fragile state of elation characterized by frivolity, but a permanent and steadfast joy characterized by a foundation in ultimate truth and in ultimate reality. So in the presence of the glory of the one true God, all memories of temporal trial, all feelings of familial fidelity will pale in comparison with the greatness and majesty of the one we serve. So in eternity, we will treasure the justice, the love, the mercy of our great and glorious God. And while now we view reality through the opaque lens of mortality, we will then see things as they really are. And I think that's the operative phrase. We will see things as they really are. Again, I wrote about this in Afterlife, what you need to know about heaven, the hereafter, and near-death experiences.
Well, thank you very much, Hank. It's definitely a lot clearer to me now. I kind of was thinking along those lines, but it was one of these questions that, I've been listening to your show for years, and I was kind of surprised that nobody had called in and said anything, so I decided to do it. So it was great talking to you.
Hey, nice talking to you as well.